So as you can see, again, looking at the NAM, this is the outlier, little more snow off to the north. And we're going to continue to watch all of these models. You can see there are differences, and this is what I want to talk about, and I want to bring in a very special guest, somebody who I've enjoyed watching since I first started in this career back in 1989. We have Jim Cantore. Jim, I can't believe it's only taken me, 36 years to finally do a broadcast with you, buddy. Welcome to Virginia Beach, and let's first of all talk to you about what you're seeing down there right now. Then I want to get your thoughts on this storm.
Well, first of all, I was back here in 2017 when we had a little bit of snow. I think it was about 5 inches on the ground. But to hear you go over all the different models, dude, I'm just out here geeking with you. All right, I'm here. I'm hearing all what we're going through here. 5 inches, 10 inches. This model's holding it off. That one's holding it on. Yeah, there's always bust potential here, right, on the beach. Do we set up the banding? Do we get into 1 to 2 inches per hour? Those are all the things that we're looking at, certainly as we get into tonight. But here's the deal. You got to be off the roads because these sandy beaches behind me here will be all white by the time we get it tonight. By the way, looking north, you can see how much darker it is up that way because we got some light snow coming down toward Richmond. So we're still saturating. The air is very, very dry. All right. And so we're going to fight that battle a little bit with, I think, some of the moisture that comes in. And I'll let Craig tell you about that, talking about wet bulbing and things like that. But either way, it's going to get interesting here tonight, right? I mean, we're talking about maybe getting into some banding features, which I think gives us that bonus. How many times, here's a question for you. How many times has Virginia Beach, which is unofficial, gotten into double-digit snow in a single day?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think many.
Very, very rare that we get that, Jim. That's a great point. But I wanted to mention something you touched on, how dry the low levels of the atmosphere was. I was looking at surface obs from up around Richmond, some of the northern areas that you're referring to off there. We were starting to see some snow, even with a pretty healthy dew point separation from the temperature. So, again, it was kind of interesting. I was thinking maybe a few light flurries, but we were getting some reports up there.
That is interesting.
Yeah, certainly as the low levels start to moisten up, once that thing kicks in, it's going to go. Now, I'm interested to get your take because one of the other things we're really looking at is kind of, that sleet line maybe down around the Albemarle Sound. We have high confidence we're going to get hit with a major event, but can you speak to just how tricky some of these things can be in your experience covering the coast?
Well, I mean, this is why we don't have a lot of double-digit snow totals here, right? Because you get the mixing, you get the changeover to rain with that thing. And somewhere down toward, the northern part of Albemarle Sound and Elizabeth City, we're going to have sleet mixing in. So you could, let's say we're forecasting 5 to 9 for Elizabeth City, but yet all of a sudden we get into a sleet storm there. That 5 to 9 is going to go potentially even below 5 because all of that moisture is going into sleet, which does not, it takes a lot more moisture to produce a sleet pellet than it does a snowflake. But somewhere is the sweet spot, and that may be right here. It may be right back in the Hampton Roads area where we're talking about getting, a nice 10 to 1 ratio where we have 10 inches of snow to 1 inch of water, and where that sweet spot's going to be, especially if we set up banding, somebody's going to come out here with double digits.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible, Jim. We had the first snow that we had in over 1,000 days for Norfolk International. The mixing ratio, we had like a 15 to 1. Not the mixing rate, but, the snow-rain ratio. So very light, powdery. This is going to have a little more moisture to it, a little bit better packing snow. But, like you said, that area, somebody's going to get the jackpot, and that's what we're really trying to nail down. I'm interested, Jim. Folks have been texting me as soon as they heard you were coming in town. They're like, oh, this is happening. Cantore's in town. You got to get that everywhere you go.
I do. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't work out as great. But, we're only as good as the weather produces for us. But we can just give you our best guess. And Craig, it's certainly better to look at a forecast and say, hey, you know what? Here's the potential. If it under-delivers, great. But if we don't forecast what the potential is, boy, are we in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the thing. That's the thing that scares me the most. In terms of Norfolk, though, I wanted to ask you, when's the last 6-inch snow that we got?
So honestly,
I mean, it's got to be years, brother.
It's been a while. We've had some heavy snows. I was going back to 22, but I'm trying to think all at once. And the other thing is a lot of times we'll have it for parts of Hampton roads, but at the airport where we officially keep the records, sometimes it misses there a little bit. So I've got to do a little homework on that specifically. I will date myself just a little bit here. You know, back in the day with the Weather Channel, you used to do the 5-day, the work week planner. And we used to marvel that the storms would track across the country and you'd see, snow, snow, snow. Then it would get to the coast and it looked like somebody took a pizza cutter with all of the, the sounds in the bay and carved it up. Sleet, snow, ice, rain. It's crazy here.
Right.
It's just something else.
It is crazy, but it makes it fun. It makes it a challenge still for what we do. And think about this. In 30 years, where we've come with computer models. Holy smoke. The resolution, you were talking about the HER and the resolution on these models is just tremendous. By the way, you don't have to do too much research. I'll do it for you. I think 2010 was the last official Norfolk International 6-inch snowfall.
Yeah, we wound up with over 14 inches of snow
between 15 years.
Yeah, that was Christmas into the next day, and I think wound up with a total of 14.2. So incredible amounts. Jim, thank you so much for sharing your expertise. Welcome to Virginia Beach. Enjoy some of the seafood down there.
I love it.
All right.
Love geeking.
Thanks so much. That's Jim Cantore from the Weather Channel, obviously a weather legend, and we were delighted to have him. Tegna is partnering with the Weather Channel, and we love it. We love to be able to bring in his expertise. All right, I'm going to share a little bit more with you on some more of the model stuff. Then we're going to hear what Norfolk and the area is doing to prepare for this system as it comes in. Again, the NAM, one of the other models we were talking about, some heavier snow off to the north, and you can see for the Euro, we've got this snow potential, very heavy, although the Euro brings in more down across parts of northeast North Carolina. So this is exactly what Jim and I were talking about. You look at all these different models, bands are going to get set up with heavy areas of snow, and that's going to create a jackpot of snow for some part of the area. Whether it's down here or a little farther north, we're trying to really refine that, and really, a lot of times you just have to see where that stuff sets up, and then you're able to adapt and say, okay, so this is the area, this is a duration, and this is exactly how much snow we're going to get. One more model here, the GFS, and again, you can see the GFS, a little bit more than 10 inches in a few spots projected. The bottom line is everybody is calling for a significant event. All of the models, everything points to it. There might be some sleet mixing in and bringing down the totals a little bit towards the sound. And then off to the north, how far does that deep moisture extend? That'll be a question that we answer later today and tonight. But for now, again, 6 to 10, some locally higher amounts in spots.